that's a somewhat more compelling reason to study these. As an engineer, the part that I find most interesting is that if we are able to identify these impacts while the technology is not yet converged, then maybe we can make design changes now that basically prevent those impacts from ever happening. So we still put the technologies in the water, we still generate sustainable power, but we don't cause environmental impacts. That's not an opportunity we get very often. Normally, technology goes through convergence. It's basically the technology is evolving. We get to something that costs the least, and we say, okay, this is what we want to deploy. And then we find out what the environmental impacts are, what the societal impacts are. Marine energy, by being unconverged, has the opportunity to basically take some of that societal and environmental information and use it to shape convergence alongside economics. So we can't really ignore one to the detriment of the other. But for me, this is why this is interesting, is the possibility of preempting impact by engineering design. Okay, so if we say kind of what we're studying and why we think it's a good idea to study, then the question becomes, what do we study? So this is a slide that one of my colleagues at Pacific Northwest National Lab, Simon Gierloff's, put together. And it shows all the different things that can happen in the marine environment when you deploy things like wave converters and tidal turbines. And it's a pretty bewildering array, right? You've got marine mammals that are diving down while the fish are being shocked by EMF, and there's a wake, and then the fish are in a scour pit, and there's cables, and it's a mess, right? You can look at this and you can probably construct thousands of possible pathways, and you consider all the different stressors going on and all the different receptors that are present in the environment. So obviously, you're not going to study all of these things. So how do we actually try to figure out what the priorities are? Well, back in 2010, we convened a group of about 70 people, experts from around the world with some information on the marine environment or